Before we really get into the details of the idea of the singularity and also the details, of course, of Bostrom's paper and his talk, I'd like to just start right here. And I think it's an interesting perspective on the thing. Keep in mind that this essay by Bostrom was written in 2003. So it was written almost 20 years ago. And of course, there's been some technological change in the past 17, 18, 20 years. But there's a reference here I thought was very interesting to Deep Blue. That was still a thing in 2003. That is the effect of the Deep Blue IBM computer beating Garry Kasparov, the greatest chess player in the world, one of the greatest chess players of all time, obviously, was a huge impact. I think that was 1997, actually. But one of the things that Bostrom points out is that Deep Blue was not a super intelligence. It was not a general artificial intelligence. It was a very domain-specific program or whatever that was very narrowly focused on being able to play chess. And as he says, even they're not vastly superior to the best humans. Well, that's changed quite a bit in the realm of chess. Anybody who is interested in chess knows that, first of all, there are any number of programs, easily available programs that all chess grandmasters use and are just ubiquitous in the chess world, that are vastly superior to the best humans. Deep Blue beat Kasparov by a nose in 1997, and Kasparov probably petulantly raised some suspicions about the integrity of the Deep Blue team, which were, I think, unfounded. He got beat, but he got beat very narrowly. Today, there are any number of programs that would just cream the top players, including, Magnus Carlsen and the rest of the super grandmasters. So that's happened. And also, we have, if you follow these things, you know that, and you might want to Google it. I don't know. It's not part of the, you might want to Google AlphaZero, which is not a super intelligence, not a general intelligence, but is a general game playing program that is very different from Deep Blue. Not only is it, they didn't even, when AlphaZero was developed by the DeepMind people, which is now part of Google, they didn't even bother really having it play a human being because they know it would cream them. The real thing was it played the best existing chess programs and pretty much dominated that one. I think it's Stockfish. But the interesting thing about AlphaZero is that it is a general machine learning program. It's not a domain-specific one like Deep Blue. It not only learned the rules of chess and then taught itself to play chess better. It was basically, and my understanding of this is very crude, you'll have to forgive me, but it was given the rules of chess and then it played games against itself and developed strategies and pretty much crushed the existing program, Stockfish. But not only that, it also learned to play the game Go and in a very dramatic way crushed the existing Go champion, world champion. So what I'm saying is that things have progressed to some extent, not in the way that we would feel that we're on the edge of the singularity or the edge of the creation of a true artificial intelligence, but the advances in machine learning in the past 2 decades, to my layman's mind, from what I read, have been enormous. So I think that it's relevant to keep that in mind because also at the beginning of Bostrom's essay, he says this other quote. He says, "But there seems currently to be no good ground for assigning a negligible probability to the hypothesis that superintelligence will be created within the lifespan of some people alive today. That's a very controversial statement. There are those like Noam Chomsky who think that the whole idea is just a fantasy, that it's pure science fiction, that we are nowhere close to creating a true artificial intelligence because that indeed might be a conceptual impossibility. That is, the nature of intelligence as we know it, which is animal intelligence, of course, and human intelligence, is such that it could not be recreated in mechanical form, in any kind of artificial form, for various fundamental philosophical reasons, conceptual reasons. There are those who, I think, quite legitimately doubt that we're anywhere near the creation of an artificial intelligence, much less a superintelligence, just because of empirical reasons we haven't made the progress. But I thought that, that initial remark about Deep Blue was ironic, and indicated that, well, yes, we are nowhere near, seemingly, the edge of the singularity, but in terms of this thing that he's mentioned, which is basically artificial gameplay, we've made enormous strides. And the difference between, in 20 years between AlphaZero and Deep Blue is just incredible. So what I'm saying is that it was an interesting irony there, to mention that 20 years on, and to think about what's happened since from our perspective. But also in that initial hedge or qualification that Bostrom makes, where he acknowledges that the thing that he's talking about is speculative. We don't know if the singularity will happen, and even if it will happen, we have no idea when. He really echoes, I think, Jonas right at the beginning. And this is why I prefaced all this with the Jonas essay, where he says, given the enormity of the consequences of superintelligence, it would make sense to give this prospect some serious consideration, even if one thought that there were only a small probability of it happening anytime soon. That is very much in the spirit of Hans Jonas. That is, the key idea there is the so-called enormity of the consequences, which is exactly what Jonas was talking about. And in the spirit of Jonas, the idea is that the more profound the consequences of a new technology, the more careful and humble and the ethical thinking has to be. Because the idea is, even if a superintelligence is a remote possibility, it's still a possibility. And given the profound consequences for all human life, if such a thing were to actually emerge, we better start thinking about the ethics of it now rather than wait until it happens.